Hey guys,
This is Tale of Two Dead Girls.
I am Kayla,
I'm Kayla.
and this is our episode number 9.
Yes, it is. And our theme of the week is
Killer Kids.
Yeah, we're excited about this one, guys.
And I feel like this is a really good idea to have this kind of theme, because there's so many cases of fucking
So true.
kids that murder people or have murdered someone. And it's just so interesting. So I'm very excited about this.
Me too. Like the case I'm going to do this week, I've been saving it for a while, and I have a little bit of not really a personal connection, but I have a run-in with this case. So yeah, we have tons of details to talk about. I think we're just gonna jump into it because I think this is gonna be a pretty hefty ep.
Yeah, it's
right?
definitely going to be a long one, I think. I think so.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
If we're gonna do Killer Kids, we're gonna do Killer Kids, all right? We're going all out for this one. So I guess I'm going first this week since you went first last time with our Melonhead legend story. My story is about Maddie Clifton. Maddie Clifton was born on June 17th, 1990. So her birthday is in just a couple days. June 17th, 1990. She was a kind little girl who dreamed of becoming a women's basketball player for the Florida Gators. She was a tomboy who loved sports, especially basketball, baseball, hockey. People described her as always smiling with her Kool-Aid smile, super kind, and she was always the one to root for the underdog. She was a quick learner, and she even learned how to ski the Black Diamond in no time at all when her family went on a skiing trip. And the Black Diamond is advanced, and she learned it in one day from green to Black Diamond. Queen. She was an honor student in the 3rd grade, and she loved playing on the biddy ball team and going to the YMCA.
Wait. She's an honor student in 3rd grade?
Yeah, I was an honor student in 3rd grade. Gate kids, where you at? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I was not in that.
I was always in Gate, since kindergarten or whatever, 1st grade when they put you in it. I don't know how it works, but I took a test and worked out in my favor, I guess.
Wow, you're so smart. Go you.
Thank you. And guys, I have to brag about this. I won the 6th grade spelling bee. That's right. Yes, I did.
That's amazing.
And yeah, and it was against my cousin who was super competitive, and he always thought he was really smart, but I beat him. And the word I beat him was nicotine.
Hell yeah.
I was in the 6th grade. I was like, I know how to spell nicotine.
Good job.
Anyways, her passions were music and dancing. She played the drums, the piano, the harmonica, and she wanted to learn how to play the guitar next. She would go fishing and camping with her family every chance they could get. That was their hobby. They were always camping and fishing, all their free time. And on a fishing trip once, her mom said she did a 360 on her boogie board. Yes, you go, girl.
Wow.
I know.
She can do tricks.
I know. She's talented. Her father, Steve, had started to notice that there were some pry marks and jimmy marks on the outside windows of their home, and it was clear to him that it wasn't from Maddie or her older sister, Jessie. He realized that screens from the windows had been removed and thrown out into the yard, but he assumed it had just been an accident or just the wind blew them out or something like that. One day he noticed that there was a softball-sized hole in the back of the sheetrock of Maddie's closet. Someone had literally just dug out a hole, and he said it was 3 feet high. So it was pretty much almost as tall as her, as tall as her. So she couldn't have done it. He thought it was super weird though. So at this point he was I'm gonna ask my kids what's going on, and neither of them had any idea how it happened. Jessie, the older sister, found hammer holes behind her boy band posters, and they also found staples from a staple gun all over the house. Somebody just walked through and shot, and they were just loose on beds and on the ground, and they were even shot into the banister of their staircase. Like at this point, Steve was like, I don't know what this is, but worst case, it's probably just like the neighborhood kids being rebellious and whatever. Then they noticed a photo of Jesse was gone from their home, but they couldn't prove that anyone had taken the photo or anything. But at this point, Steve is like, this is whack. I have to make a report to the police. I got to keep this on record. So he called them, and they had like, I think one report that he made officially, but he was like, we live in a safe neighborhood, so it's probably fine. Whatever. A couple months later, the grandma of the Clifton girls told their mom, Sheila, that some kids had overheard the neighbor kid Josh talk about how to have or knowing how to have sex, but not getting a girl pregnant because he knew how to use a rubber. Sheila,
oh my God.
I know, typical boy talk, right?
Wait, how old was he?
He was 14.
Oh, wow.
So I guess a little older. But Sheila was pretty concerned about this at the time because Maddie was only 8 and Jesse was 11. So neither of them were like thinking about sex, or she didn't want them to think about sex, you know?
Right.
At that point, Steve made it clear to his kids that they were not to be around Josh, like under any circumstance. But Josh eventually redeemed himself when the Cliftons found a giant sinkhole in their yard. Steve like explained the sinkhole to be so big that they could fit like a Volkswagen upside down in the hole, and it would be like flat. Yeah. I don't even know how sinkhole holes like happen or work, but that sounds insane.
I think that's like when something like underneath the ground just like
drops.
Yeah, like it, I don't know, it's really scary.
That sounds really scary. Like imagine you're just like walking through your day and like sinkhole. Goodbye, farewell. But anyways, so the sinkhole happened and Josh redeemed himself by volunteering to help Steve fill it up with dirt and concrete. Steve said he like worked super hard and he was like, he's a good dude, basically. So now let's jump to November 3rd, 1998. It was election day, but besides that, it was just a normal day in the Clifton household. Sheila had come home from work as always. Maddie asked to go outside to play in front of a neighbor's house in their tight-knit neighborhood. They lived in Lakewood, Florida, and they pretty much like knew most of their neighbors. It was like, you know, a really trusted neighborhood. Her mom was cooking dinner and Maddie had already finished all of her chores. So her mom was like, all right, go ahead, have fun, go play. She came back inside just to have her mom like tell her where a blue golf ball was. She was like, Mom, where's my blue golf ball? I don't know where it is. I need it. And she told her to go look around the border grass that surrounded their home, and that like if she couldn't find the ball there, she probably would find a ball because they're always playing over there. And so she took her advice. She went out to the border grass and she was going to go hit the golf ball, I guess like into the fence of a neighbor's house with the other kids around. And so her older sister, Jessie, also was like, I want to go play. And she went out and met up and with them later in the night. And while the kids were playing, Sheila went out on her daily walk after work around the block, and she came back to check on dinner. When it was time for dinner, Jessie came back in the house and Sheila told her that her and her sister needed to go get washed up for dinner. But Jessie had no idea where Maddie was. And Jessie was like, I didn't see her at all tonight. Like, I didn't see her come out and play with us with the golf balls or anything. So Sheila and Jessie were like, whatever, let's go find her. They went door to door to the houses who had kids in them. After checking on all the houses nearby, they went back to their home without Maddie. At this point, Sheila's like panicking, like, where the hell is my kid? She noticed that Jessie had gone over to the Phillips home that was diagonal from where they lived. So she followed her. Right across the street. It was right across the street from their house. And that's where Josh, the 14-year-old kid, lived. So Sheila just came over and asked, like, have you seen Maddie? We can't see her. We haven't found her. And Josh told her he hadn't seen her at all, but he picked up a flashlight and offered to help find her. It soon became super clear that Maddie was gone. She just totally vanished.
Aww.
Sheila said she stood in her front yard yelling out for Maddie in horror. She was so distraught, she urinated in her shorts.
Oh.
I know. I can't even, like, imagine that pain. Your 8-year-old daughter is just, like, gone.
Yeah.
So at that point, she finally decided to call 911 so she could get help. And we're going to play you her 911 call. Here it is.
Hey, Jean? Jacksonville 911. Yes, sir. Hi. This is Cheryl Clifton. My daughter went out to play this afternoon. I thought she was with my other daughter, and now she's missing. How old is she? She's 8 years old. Where was she playing at? Right around the house here. Is she a white female? Yes, she's a white female. What does she have on when she left? She had on a red T-shirt. And Mama, did you have on jeans? No, I've been upstairs, Mama. I have searched. Ma'am? Yes. Blue jeans? Mama, did she have on blue jeans? What did you have on? What kind of shorts? Pair of shorts? She had on a pair of shorts. And a red T-shirt. She blonde hair? Black hair? She's got reddish brown hair. It's actually a brown with an auburn tint to it. What's her name? Short. Her name is Maddie. She goes as Madeline. Her last name? Clifton. Clifton. When's the last time anybody saw her? What time did I come home from voting? About 5:30? About 4:30 to 5 o'clock. About 5:40 was the last time we saw her. And I was letting the kids play out here for a little while. And then she disappeared. And nobody knows where she's at. She have any friends nearby? Did you go check? I got every neighbor out here right now. Okay, the police will be there shortly. Let me keep looking, okay? Okay. Do you know where I am? I mean, you know where I live? 6108 Fleetwood. 6108 Fleetwood. At the corner of Fleetwood and Freeman is right there. What is it? My husband just came home. And hold on just a moment. Honey, Mary is gone. No. Okay, my husband just pulled up, but then she's not with him, of course. Okay, the police are going to be there shortly, ma'am. Thank you. Bye.
As you can hear on the recording, Steve Clifton came home while Sheila was on the phone with 911 to hear that Maddie was gone. Sheila said that after the call, all she could hear were the helicopters all over searching for her daughter. She said that she thinks she has PTSD from the sound of helicopters because every time she hears them, they still like freak her out and just like rattle her up.
Aww.
The entire Clifton family was just like devastated, and all of their neighbors and them searched tirelessly for Maddie. They handed out yellow ribbons at sports games to represent hope in finding her. They put up a $50,000 reward, which quickly turned into $100,000. They were like, please give me my daughter. We're desperate, like whatever it takes.
Damn.
Yeah, it was crazy. And when I say their neighbors came through for them, like they had a tight-knit neighborhood and they really came through for them. People wore shirts, t-shirts, handed out flyers, brought flowers, literally did everything they could in their power to try and help find this little girl.
No.
Sheila called their local country radio station and had them release a statement about Maddie. Their family loved country music, and she knew that would reach the community. So they played like a song for her and like described her and like just put the word out.
This shit makes me sad.
It's so sad, dude. I listen, like there's a court recording of her, like they played the country music song and like the recording from the radio when they played it, and her mom just like broke down.
Aww.
Like broke down. Like I'm sure that would just like bring you back to that time. It was just like awful.
Yeah.
But the police only had one suspect who was a neighbor. He had been arrested twice almost 20 years before, but the charges were dropped. He had been like almost charged with sexual battery, I guess, but
Ew.
didn't work out. Yeah, bad. But the neighbor took a lie detector test and he failed it, but he had a solid alibi. So they were like, all right. Police had staked out the area and searched houses while the volunteers combed through swamps and wooded areas. One of the well-known neighbors, Mr. Grisham, was questioned by the police, and he told them that he had been hitting golf balls with Maddie, and she went to get more balls, but when she didn't return, he just thought, like, whatever, her parents wanted her to stay in for dinner, like, no big deal. So the police decided to call off the search for Maddie, but the 400 volunteers who had been assisting the Cliftons persisted in their search for her. They're like, we're not giving up. Why would you give up? So 7 days after Maddie's disappearance on November 10th, Sheila and Steve had an interview with Good Morning America, and they had just wrapped up when the police knocked on the door. Earlier that day, Missy, also known as Melissa Phillips, the mother of the neighbor, Joshua, was cleaning her son's room. She noticed water, sort of like fluid on their floor, and Josh had a waterbed, so she started searching for the cause of the leak. She pulled up the corner of the bed to reveal the base of the bed, and at that time, she saw human feet.
Oh my God. What?
Yeah, it's crazy. She found that Joshua had stuffed Maddie's lifeless body into the base of his waterbed. Her body had been described as being securely entombed. He had been covering the scent all this time with incense and air freshener. He had even stuffed like clothing, rags around the bed and taped it up to try and stop the water from leaking out. The top of the waterbed, mind you, is 400 pounds, and it's like pushing on her body. So she's just like kind of like encased and like mummified almost. Missy, when she found out, she ran straight out of her house and she told the police what she had found. They were like in the neighborhood, and she was like, my son has this body in his bed. So later that day, the police arrested Joshua at school, and he confessed everything. He told them that he was home alone when Maddie came by his house to ask him to play baseball with her, and he agreed even though he wasn't supposed to have people over when his parents weren't home. He said that while they were playing ball, he hit the ball and it ended up hitting Maddie in the eye on accident. She started bleeding, screaming, and crying, and he was scared of how his father would react when he got home because he was due home shortly, I think in like 15 minutes. And he knew his father was going to be like totally pissed off if he found out he like broke the rules and there was someone in the house, you know? So at this point, he made a crucial decision, and that decision was to drag Maddie through the house and into his room. And then he decided to strangle her with a phone cord for 15 minutes.
Wait, so his thought, his solution was to fucking kill her?
Yeah, he was like, well, he can't know, so if I hide this, like, nobody will know.
Oh my God, what an idiot.
That's a 14-year-old brain for you, I guess. I mean, like, I don't know how I feel about, like, his age. I just think, like, it's just gnarly either way, and it gets worse. Just wait. This, like, at this point, I think, like, maybe this is a rash decision, but, like, he then hit her with a baseball bat. He shoved her under the base of his bed. Then his father gets home and he goes out of his room to greet him. They talk for a while, just like normal day in the life, you know, catching up. And then once they were done talking, he headed back into his bedroom. Then he realized he didn't kill Maddie.
Oh my God.
She was moaning in pain under the bed. She was like, please save me. So he picked up the mattress to reveal her suffering body. And what does he do? He stabs her 11 times, twice in the neck and 9 times in her torso with the knife from a multi-purpose tool. Like, dullest, worst knife ever.
Oh my God.
Like, that's the point for me when it went from, like, maybe a rash decision to, like, fucking murder. Like, that's murder. It's insane. So supposedly they didn't find any proof of sexual assault, but she was found undressed from the waist down, so it's a little bit suspicious. And the craziest part was the police had searched the Phillips home 3 times previously. And I believe like even like an older officer had sat on the waterbed to talk to Josh, and he couldn't even tell there was a body in there at all. Like, he had no idea. He detected, him and the rest of the detectives did detect, like, some type of smell, but they had pet birds, so he just figured, like, whatever, the birds are gross and they don't clean the cage and it probably stinks. So people were, like, pissed that the sheriff didn't find this body before, basically. And he explained that it wasn't common practice to dismantle furniture during a search, especially because they had the full cooperation of the family. So it's like, why would they, rip it up? But So after Missy informed the police of what she found and they were on the same page, the police informed the Cliftons. They heard that knock on the door and they just knew that Maddie had been found. The police told the family that Maddie was deceased and Sheila's first question was, where was she? They found out that she was across the street the entire time and they were fucking livid. They were just like, what? Steve's brother had to be held back by police and the family wanted to go after Joshua right away.
Fuck, I would
Jesse
too.
Clifton. I know, seriously, I would be like, get me this child and I'll teach him a lesson. I don't even know what I would do. Like, you're just helpless. You need like to find an answer, you know?
Yeah.
But her sister, Jessie, said, I came down the stairs and my family was standing in a circle and it was just like any other day. And everyone was crying, upset, and I got pulled into the middle of the circle and they said, Jessie, we found Maddie and she's no longer with us.
Oh my God.
She was only 11, so she doesn't even know how to process this. She just runs out of the garage door crying and yelling for her sister, like, please come back.
This is like making me like really emotional, like just picturing it.
It's so sad.
Oh my God.
I forgot to mention to you guys that my personal connection with this story is that I can't tell you how I talked to this person because I have a confidentiality contract, but I talked to Maddie's mom for like 10 minutes on the phone. After Jessie like realized what happened, the police had time to investigate everything and they were kind of like breaking down the situation, like what actually happened. Did Joshua tell the truth? It turned out like pretty much everything he said was truthful, but the thing that they told Maddie's family was that she'd been killed almost as soon as she'd been abducted. So there was like really nothing they could have done. You know, like they did their best as parents. Like they really couldn't have prevented this. Also, during the search of his home, they found the picture of Maddie's sister Jessie that went missing from their house.
That's creepy.
So it was like him who was like breaking into the house, we think, and like doing all of this. Like he was obsessed with them.
That's so weird.
Crazy.
What a weirdo.
It's just like, what is he thinking? I don't know. But he was taken to trial and they tried him as an adult. He couldn't be sentenced to death because he was under the age of 16, but he could be sent to prison for the rest of his life with no possibility of parole.
Hell yeah.
I know. After a little bit more than 2 hours of deliberation, the jury found him guilty of fatally bludgeoning and stabbing 8-year-old Maddie. And while the verdict was being read, Joshua didn't show any emotion at all. Just a few years before his trial, Florida had changed their laws to make convicting juveniles as adults much easier than trying to rehabilitate them. So that's the route they chose, obviously.
Yes.
After the conviction, Sheila, her mom, said, "This is a day of justice for Maddie. That piece of my heart that's gone, waiting on the other side for us." And Joshua's parents just like skirted. They left the courthouse without commenting. I think even his dad said to somebody like, "You're in my way," or something like that.
Oh my God.
I'm sure they're like embarrassed and like heartbroken. And
definitely.
It's like a big loss for everybody, you know?
Yeah.
And then Joshua's attorney, on the other hand, Mr. Nichols, said that Josh was a nice 14-year-old boy who's in a horrible situation. His friend is dead, and he's heartbroken about it. He tried to argue that Joshua couldn't grasp what he was doing due to his age and made it clear that they were going to appeal this conviction.
Oh my God.
Which, spoiler alert, the appeal got denied, y'all.
Yes.
So basically, like, Josh never gave an explanation for why he murdered her. He never said, like, this is what caused me to do this. But some people have, like, a theory that his father was a drunk, and he was pretty abusive. So when he was so scared of, like, his dad coming home and getting him in trouble, he would just, like, panicked and, like, lost it. But that's, I don't know, to an extent, I get it, but no, not the full story.
I mean, I get that you'd be scared and panic, but, like, to fucking murder someone, to actually harm someone like that, you know, to the point of death, like, that's just crazy. I don't know.
It's just, like, why is that the thing that you come to, like, when something like that happens? Like, if I'm in like worried about getting in trouble with my mom. I'm like, how do I sneak this person out of the back door? Not how do I strangle them and stab them and kill them?
I know,
like, you
right?
know, like
fuck.
Like, where do you get that
Jesus
jump?
Christ.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
So they weren't really sure like why he did it, but the state's attorney theorized that the murder was sexual in nature. They didn't see any like sign of sexual abuse during the autopsy and everything, I guess, but it turns out that 30 minutes before the murder took place, Josh was looking at violent porn on websites. So, I mean, that's not healthy. But especially for a 14-year-old like impressionable child, like so the judge absolutely believed that he was guilty and told him, I do not perceive you to be a child. Your monstrous act in causing the death of Maddie Clifton made you an adult. I'm certain that on Judgment Day, you, Joshua Earl Phillips, will be given a far harsher sentence than I can impose.
Oh, so
Arnold said...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, so he's pretty much saying that God's gonna like damn him to hell.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you, kid. I know what you did. Arnold said, which is Judge Arnold, quoting Christ's words from Luke 17, it would be better if a millstone were hung around your neck and that you were thrown into the sea than cause harm to a child.
Oh,
it's crazy.
My God. I have not read that part.
Really?
Yeah.
It's crazy because he's like a child and he's like, you know, it's all crazy to me. Like, how did this even happen?
Yeah.
But so before all of this, before this horrible situation, this horrible act that Joshua did, he was described as being pretty normal. Even Jessie, Maddie's sister, said that like he was just a normal kid, nothing crazy. His parents were both computer specialists, so Josh loved computers, reading, and just spending time with his family anytime he could. People thought Josh was like a funny kid. He didn't stick out. He got along well with everybody. He was just a normal person. When the kids at school found out, they were all super shocked. Like they were like, "Josh did this? That's insane! Like no way!"
Wow.
And now, present day, Joshua is now 35 years old. He's been behind bars for more than half of his life. He has attended Blackstone Career Institute, and he became a paralegal who helps other inmates with their appeals in prison. He described, I know, irony. He described prison being busy for him, at first, he said he didn't have any time to dwell on his crime or his sentence. He said he mostly just like worked all the time. He took classes. Like they just kept him super busy. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. But he said he had the realization of his life sentence when he was 15. He saw a bunch of older inmates at the pill line, and he kind of realized, like, that's going to be me one day, and I still have a really long time to, like, get to that age and be in here and suffer, you know? In an interview that I watched with him, he said he thinks about Maddie all the time, but when he thinks of her, he thinks he deserves to die in prison. But then he, like, reminds himself, like, I can't think that way, like... I have to be positive. And yeah, I know.
Oh my God, what an idiot. Like, I mean, yeah.
It's just wild.
I have mixed feelings about that. Because, like, a part of me is just like, if you kill a child, especially a child, like, you do not deserve anything, you know? Like, you don't. But, like,
life.
Then... I don't know. It's always just so hard because, like, as a child, you're not all, like, they're, you know, you don't know, like, their brains aren't fully developed. But then again, it's like murder. You should know that murder is not the fucking answer to anything. So, I
agree. It's like, it's hard. I sympathize with Joshua, and of course I sympathize with Maddie and her family. It's like I feel torn in both ways. Like when I was 14, I wouldn't ever have murdered somebody, but I did some stupid stuff. So like you just like don't know that much, you know? I don't know. But he's like pretty much been a model inmate like since he's been in there, which is like interesting. Like he made a mistake and was like, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
He said he doesn't know if he deserves to get out, but he does want to get out and get a second chance. And if he does get out, he wants to become a monk. So that's pretty interesting.
Wow.
I know. The Florida Senator Stephen Geller, because of the situation, passed a bill that makes it so first-time violent juvenile offenders serving life will be eligible for parole after 8 years, because he's never eligible for parole. He didn't think that Joshua's sentence was fair and said that if Charles Manson got the opportunity for parole, why shouldn't a 14-year-old?
I guess.
I mean, a point, but I guess it makes sense. It does. Like, but after 8 years, that's not a lot.
It's really not.
Like,
it's not.
Charles Manson was like way older, but I don't know. So Joshua refused to apologize to the Cliftons until he could do it in person, and he finally got a chance during court. And I'm going to play you guys his apology so you guys can hear exactly what he said and kind of like his perspective on his feelings and all that. So here it is.
This is for the family of Maddie Clifton. I've wanted to say this for a very long time, and I'm grateful that his chance to do so in person has arrived. I don't pretend to know or understand your pain or to grasp the void that I've created in your lives. I can say this: I do understand pain. I have become quite intimate with suffering. Growing up in prison, I've seen many dark things, and I've been to some dark places. Many times throughout this journey, I came dreadfully close to ending my life just to escape it all. During these times, I was embroiled in a flurry of emotions and feelings: guilt, despair, pain, hopelessness, fear, and shame. Each time, I was somehow able to continue on, mostly because I couldn't stand to put my mother through any more trauma. She's been through enough. There were times that I was angry at her because I couldn't end my pain because of her love. Yet now, I'm eternally grateful to her. I'm grateful to her because as I've grown up, I have learned the value of life. I've learned to see the beauty and joy in a world full of strife and experience the truth of unconditional love. I wish to God that I could have known this or understood it when I was 14. Had I then, none of this would have come about. I had no clue what life meant, what death meant, nor the depths of suffering that could follow one act. I had no inkling of how long that suffering could last. I hadn't lived long enough to understand the time involved or what really suffering was. I did something horrible. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what happened. Even now, after all these years, it is just unfathomable that all this could have occurred. It tears my mind asunder to know that I stole such a precious life from you, from the world. I so wish I could take away your pain. I thank God that I've been able to continue on in life and grow, but not a day goes by that I don't think of what led me to where I'm at. Not in prison, but in life. I pray every day that you're able to live your lives in spite of the injury I've caused you. I'm supremely grateful to have an opportunity at physical freedom. Yet any joy that arises in my heart is immediately tempered by the knowledge that these proceedings bring all involved once again face to face with the horror that occurred in 1998. When I walked the rec yard here in chains, I looked at the sky through mesh wiring, and I thank God repeatedly for giving me hope. My next breath is always devoted to wishing peace and healing upon you all. My hopes, fears, and wishes probably mean nothing to you, but they are there all the same. May you know peace. May you be free from suffering. And may you feel the love that is the sustenance of life itself. May God bless you and heal your wounds as much as possible. Thank you, Your Honor.
Damn, that was a really good story.
Thank you. It's sad.
It is
It's really
really sad. Well, I've got another sad child story for you guys.
Killer kids coming at you.
Yeah, so this is the murder of 9-year-old Elizabeth K. Olten.
Ugh.
She was born on December 15th, 1999 in Jefferson City, Missouri. So this takes place in Missouri. Elizabeth was a 4th grader who loved music, playing dress up with her animals. She loved horses, playing with her friends, and she loved so much to bake cookies and do puzzles with her mom, Patty.
So cute.
I know, just a normal 9-year-old child or 8-year-old child. And one of her favorite artists, I wanted to add this in here, was Hannah Montana.
Woo!
So on October 17th, 2009, 15-year-old Alyssa Bustamante spent her Friday evening digging 2 holes in the ground in the middle of the woods. And Alyssa was Elizabeth's neighbor.
What's up with all these neighbor kids? Y'all are whack, dude.
Yeah, honestly, come on now. So 4 days later, on October 21st, Elizabeth was at home practicing her lines for a play when there's a knock at the door. 6-year-old Emma, who is Alyssa's little sister, or half-sister, was at the door asking Elizabeth's mom if they can go outside and play together. Patty, Elizabeth's mom, originally said no, but they were practically begging her, so Patty, was like, fine, but only for an hour. She was supposed to be home by 6 p.m. During this time of year, the sun sets around 6:30 p.m., and Patty knows that Elizabeth will come home no later than that because she's, like, deathly afraid of the dark. Oh, God, saying deathly is a bad way to put it. She's terribly terrified of the dark.
I don't blame her. It's scary.
Yeah. But when 6 o'clock comes around, and she doesn't show up back at the house, Patty gets, worried. So she knows something's wrong. So she calls Emma's parents, and they said that Elizabeth wasn't there.
Oh.
And she was never there.
Oh, no.
And that's when Patty called the police.
Good.
After Patty called the police, they were there within 15 minutes. They went over to Alyssa's house, but everyone said Elizabeth wasn't there. By 10 p.m., there was about 100 people out looking for her.
Damn.
Elizabeth had her cell phone with her when she left, and she called her nonstop, but it would just go to voicemail. Imagine that. Imagine being the mother of your child, and you're trying to get a hold of your child after they didn't come home, and it just goes to voicemail. Like, there's no way you can contact your child. It's just such a scary thought.
Horrifying.
Yeah. The police ended up contacting the cell phone carrier to order what is called an emergency ping. So basically, it's signals that are generated from the phone to the nearest cell tower, and the data is then collected and used to zero in on the precise location of the cell phone. So thank God for that kind of technology.
Like, find your iPhone kind of these days.
Yeah, well, it's a lot better than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so very quickly they start receiving pings from her home, or not her home, sorry, her phone, 3 pings before it goes dead. The location led to the general area of the woods that was behind the house.
Uh-oh.
Hundreds of people from the towns searched for her the next day. Flyers were sent out, helicopters were flying in the air, there's checkpoints everywhere, and when they still aren't able to find her, Sergeant Rice decides to go back to the last person that saw her that they knew of, which was Emma. She was interviewed by the FBI, and she told them that they were playing. Now, keep in mind that Emma is 6. So she was younger. Emma was younger than Elizabeth. Elizabeth is 9, and Emma was 6. She's a baby. She's a child, so little.
She doesn't keep her facts straight, obviously.
Yeah, and so she was telling him that they were playing, and then about an hour later, Elizabeth started walking home, and that was the last that she saw of her. Later on in the evening, she starts to add to her story that Emma got stuck in some thorn bushes and was screaming and crying for Alyssa to come and help her. And again, Alyssa is 15 years old and her half-sister.
Yeah.
But, she just, threw that in there, and I never found out if that was true or not.
Show me the cuts. I want proof.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right, Alyssa's the older one, right?
But the fact that you said cuts, okay, I forgot to actually say this in the beginning. There is a trigger warning for this. I am going to talk about suicide and self-harm. So that is a part of this. So, during the search for Elizabeth, all the neighborhood kids were accounted for except Alyssa. She admitted to skipping school that day and was aware that law enforcement couldn't find the little girl, but she claimed that she didn't know anything about it whatsoever.
Sure.
Yeah. During the investigation, they talked with Alyssa at the station, and she was just super calm. She was not considered a suspect at all. During the time of Alyssa's questioning, law enforcement was still searching for Elizabeth in those woods when they stumbled upon what appeared to be a grave. It was filled with muddy water, but no body was found in it.
What?
The FBI brought Alyssa to the scene. Sergeant Rice overheard Alyssa saying she dug the hole.
What?
When Sergeant Rice asked her why she said that, he asked her why, and she said, "I just like digging holes. I would bury dead animals in them when I found them."
How often are you finding dead animals, though? Come on.
Yeah.
Sus.
So 48 hours go by and still no body was found. Rice was still suspicious of the hole since it was a perfect size for a small child. The FBI obtained a search warrant for Alyssa's home. One of the agents searched Alyssa's room, and what they saw was very disturbing. Now, I have pictures of these, of the stuff that we find, so we're going to have that posted as well.
Cool.
There was strange writings on the walls in pen, and some was written in blood.
Oh, no.
There was a poem about self-harm written in pen and blood, and it reads, "I cut to focus when my brain is racing. I cut to make physical what I feel inside. I cut to see blood because I like it. I don't like to cut, but I can't give it up." Now, with every time she wrote cut, underneath that had blood underneath the word cut. She underlined it with blood.
What? That's a long poem. That's a big deal. That's crazy.
Then on another wall, there's a sketch of a person where the arm has slash style markings, and next to it has Emma's name with a hyphen.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it's dash Emma, and then there's a weird ass person drawn, and the person has scene hair. I wanted to point that out.
Where is her mother? Where is her parents?
Okay,
why aren't they?
I'm gonna talk about that too.
Okay.
So, but anyways, the FBI ended up finding her diary.
Uh-oh. That's never good.
They flipped through the pages and read stuff about her burning down a house and it killing everyone in it.
Oh my God.
And then they noticed the very last entry in the journal was scribbled out entirely, but they could see the date, which was Wednesday, October 21st, which was also the day that Elizabeth went missing.
Uh-oh.
They were able to read the last part that wasn't scribbled, and it read, quote, "Now I've got to go to church, ... LOL.
What?
Yeah. Using backlighting, they could make out 2 words: slit and throat. Once that part was uncovered, Alyssa goes into the interrogation room with her grandmother, which I'll speak about later. And Sergeant Rice starts to ask her some questions and decides to pretty much go with silence. Apparently, silence is very effective in interrogations because it makes people uncomfortable and then they end up talking.
Yeah. They're like, fine, here it is. I'll tell you, okay?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly. The stress started to affect Alyssa. Her eyes would tremor, her head would shake, and when he thinks she's just about to break, he shows her her diary and tells her that he's read it. Even the last entry that was scribbled out. And at that point, she knew that they knew.
Damn.
So she begins to tell them, or tell him, what happened. She said it was an accident.
Sure it was.
She said they were walking in the woods when Elizabeth fell and hit her head and suddenly died. Okay.
Sure. That's why it says slit throat. Makes sense. Adds up.
Sergeant Rice told Alyssa that they were going to recover the body and that the autopsy would show every injury. He asked directly, was her throat cut? And Alyssa said yes.
What? Like, she fell and her, like, throat is slit. It just happened like that. What kind of 15-year-old girl logic?
I think now this is where she's like trying to confess, because now that he told her that like the autopsy will show every single injury, she knows like, well, they're gonna fucking find out that she didn't fall and hit her head.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
So after they caught her in that lie, they were just like, well, was her throat cut? You know?
Yeah.
And then so after she said yes, her grandmother broke down crying and left the room, and that's when she started to come clean.
Makes sense.
She said she sent Emma to the Olten household to pick up Elizabeth. From that point, she claimed that she told Emma to go back home, and she took Elizabeth by the hand and walked her into the woods. It's a 15-minute walk into the woods, like where she was taking her. Yeah. And she kept saying, I've got something I really want to show you. It's just a little bit further up here.
What a psycho.
Little does this child know that she's being led to her fucking grave. And like, this kid is like 9 years old, you know, this is her friend's sister, so she's like gonna trust her friend's sister, you know, and it's just so sickening to know that like you're bringing someone that fucking trusts you to murder them, to end their life. Like, it is just so fucked up.
It's like you think like people's older sisters are like cool. You're like, I want to be like her when I grow up, and then she takes total advantage of that.
Yeah, it's so messed up. It's so fucking messed up.
Pure evil.
So Alyssa said that once she arrived at the side of the hole, she began to strangle Elizabeth while she was facing her. So Elizabeth was looking at Alyssa while she was strangling her. She strangled her multiple times until the light in her eyes were out. That's literally what she said. I strangled her until the light in her eyes were out.
God. And
stabbed her in the chest, she thought to be 6 or 7 times, and then cut her throat.
Overkill much?
After confessing, she agrees to take him to where Elizabeth is buried. It wasn't well covered. She was only a few inches under the ground, and you can see some of her body parts coming up out of the ground covered in mud. So it was just, I guess, everywhere that the people were looking, they just didn't look hard enough. I don't think they passed by it, but it was she was buried, you know, but like if you looked hard enough, then you could see it. So the autopsy results showed Elizabeth was strangled so hard it could have caused brain death, and had throat slits potentially indicative of torture, and was stabbed 8 times in the chest.
God.
So she was stabbed 8 times. I know she was stabbed above the heart and like between her breast and like through her like spine or something. Like it went so deep through her spine.
Why? I just don't get like, why did she pick her? Like, why did she like do this?
I kind of explained it like through the rest of this, but It's not really like a full
good explanation.
Yeah. So after her autopsy, investigators tried to reveal the rest of her diary entry with the blue light because what she scribbled out, it was like with blue ink that she used to scribble it out, and I think she used black ink to write the actual thing. So they used like a blue light, and then they were able to uncover everything that was written. And it reads, "I just fucking killed someone. I strangled them and slit their throat and stabbed them. Now they are dead. I don't know how to feel at the moment. It was amazing. As soon as you get over the, oh my god, I can't do this feeling, it's pretty enjoyable. I'm kind of nervous and shaky though right now. Okay, I gotta go to church now. LOL."
What in the fuck?
She wrote about it. She wrote about it right after she fucking killed her. And she spelled amazing as A-H, amazing. Like, it wasn't even just normal amazing. She's like, amazing.
So, 2009.
The signs were there. Just a few weeks before the murder, she wrote in her diary, "If I don't talk about it, I bottle it up, and when I explode, someone's gonna die."
Whoa.
I think that was on October 14th, so that was like
2 weeks before.
7. Oh yeah, no, that was 7 because she killed her on the 21st.
Oh, okay.
So 14. Okay. That's like 7 days. Yeah. And on her 15th birthday, she told her best friend, quote, "I wonder what it would be like to kill someone. See the life just drain out of someone. I wonder what it would feel like, that type of power, to take that away from someone."
Ew. Oh my god. Her best friend should have been like, "Girl, what is wrong with you, honey? Therapy.
She did. So she actually, her friend did like consult with like one of her friends, and I think they like talked to her about it or something, but I don't think it went anywhere. But so Alyssa grew up with her dad in prison, and her mom was abusing drugs. She got taken out of her home and was living with her grandma because of that. So she saw her mom overdose. She'd seen her mom do drugs. It was like very traumatic.
For sure.
It was a very traumatic life for her growing up. At age 13, Alyssa tried to kill herself by taking a whole bottle of pills. I'm not entirely sure what pills. I think I read in another article that it was Tylenol.
Oh, goodness. Honey.
But I know, I don't think Tylenol can knock you out. I think you'll just like throw up a lot.
Yeah, I think you would like, or maybe like internal bleeding or something like that. I don't know.
No, definitely. Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah.
So she was found on her bathroom floor, so I don't know if it was just Tylenol or maybe Tylenol PM or something. But after that, she gets prescribed antidepressants and sees several therapists. So before this, like, she was a good student and, you know, considered a bright young woman, but people didn't see the other side of her. People believed she was almost like living two different lives. She was able to put up a really good front while something was really building up inside of her.
Yeah.
She started inflicting harm on herself. She had over 300 cuts on her arms, or I'm not sure if it was just her arms, but on herself, as well as burn marks and bites.
Damn, this poor girl.
Yeah, on social media and like YouTube, she would list her hobbies that were cutting and killing people.
Jesus, that's so like MySpace.
She'd also talk about suicide a lot to her friends, and she was pretty much obsessed with hurting and killing other people. So during her trial, which was almost 2.5 years later, her confession was fucking suppressed.
What?
Apparently, the questions asked during the interrogation were not allowed under Missouri law, even though it was clearly a first-degree murder case.
For sure.
So she, you know, pled guilty and was charged with homicide in the second degree.
God, no.
I know. Like, it's fucking stupid. Like, the judge agreed that, like, since it was not, those questions were not allowed, that they were just gonna throw out her confession.
I hate the law sometimes.
Me too. So in January 2012, she was sentenced to life in prison with a chance of parole plus 30 years for armed criminal action. she will serve 35 years before she's eligible for parole. So right now she's going to be 20. I think she's about to be 25, or she just turned 25. I forget, but she's still in prison. This girl is like a scene kid, and you're gonna see all her like scene pictures and stuff. And I don't know. I was like watching a video of like, you know, different like murder cases from children, and I saw hers, and I was like, what the fuck? She was seen, and she did this. Ugh, you know, troubled teens,
it's weird
man.
because like, yeah, like I think like, I don't know, especially in my scene phase, like I just wanted to like feel my own hurt, but I didn't want to like hurt other people.
Yeah, same.
You know,
100%. Yeah.
Like I don't get that disconnect there.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just because she's like angry with her family and the world and all that.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know, but like she just really wanted to see what it felt like to kill someone, and that's why she killed this little girl.
She can't be free because like if she liked killing that much, like you're never going to just kill once if you like it like that.
Yeah. So Elizabeth's parents and like not just her parents but like her whole family, like they fucking hate Alyssa. Like, you know how sometimes like the victim's parents will like be like, I forgive, you know, but they're just like, we want her dead. Like she should not have to live because, or like she shouldn't be living because she took the life of an innocent child. And I don't care how old you are, I just want her dead. Like she doesn't deserve to live her life in prison. She deserves to die and feel death the way my daughter felt death. And it's just like, it's so like, they're just like, so I want her to be dead, you know, kind of thing. And I totally get it, you know.
I can't blame them.
And it's just really sad. In like all the interviews, like, you know, the parents are just crying, and well, the mom, because the dad, there was a video of like them interviewing the dad, but he was like in prison still.
Oh shit. Honestly, like it's so crazy. Like I really just don't get how she can have a life. Like if she gets let out in 35 years, she's like not even that old. She's like 50, 40, late 40s. Like she could still have like a decent life.
I really hope she doesn't though. I think that I don't know. I don't think she'll get let out. I hope not. I really hope not.
I hope not too. I think especially like that diary. But if like the confession was thrown out, and then it's like that's kind of gonna pose a problem, you know? I don't know.
And you know what's crazy is that this wasn't that long ago. This was
2009.
This is 10 years ago, and this girl is our age.
That's so crazy to think about.
She was going through the same scene phase during the same years that we were. Whoa. And like, or scene emo, whatever the fuck you want to call it. They were very
emotional years.
Yeah, they were. And also I wanted to add this in there. When I was watching a video about this, I saw on like one of the writings on her wall said "rar" with a heart next to it. And I was like, gold. That's fucking gold. But fuck
rar.
That girl. Rar. Yeah. And so yeah, but that's it. That's that you know, that story of Elizabeth. And I wanted to make this like the story of Elizabeth, because if you look this up, it'll just be like Alyssa Bustamante. Like it's all about her, and then they kind of mention Elizabeth, that they murdered Elizabeth, but it's never like the murder of Elizabeth, you know. It's all about Alyssa, and I'm just
this
like,
crazy person.
Fuck Alyssa. We need to like remember and share the name of Elizabeth.
Highlight the victim, baby. That's our message at the end of the day. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, that poor little girl.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Maddie, rest in peace. Terrible. Literally, like, it's just crazy that these kids are like so young and they like are drawn to murder. Yeah. And there's like a lot of kids. I think like my theory is this, like when you're young, you have so many feelings, you don't have the life skills to sort them out. You can't really like confide in your parents. You don't really know what to do. And then you just kind of like make your own direction. Sometimes that's really not the best idea, you know?
Well, that's all we got for you guys. If you guys like this kind of theme, let us know. I mean, we're still probably going to do it anyways. But if you enjoy it like extra, you like enjoy it more than other things, like we'll definitely probably like give more of these. Because
or like if
so
you
many.
want a theme,
Yeah.
like if you have a theme you want us to do, let us know.
Yeah, that
we'll
too.
do it. Theme it up.
I know we say it like in every episode, but fucking do it, please.
Do it. Also, email us. That's what I say in every episode. Email us now, please. taleoftwodeadgirls@gmail.com.
Yes, send us your stories.
I will take you to the killing booth, baby.
Oh, I thought that was so
if
cute.
you saw our Instagram.
That was super cute.
Love it.
But yeah, so I guess we'll just see you next week, we'll hear you, or you'll hear us next week in our
we'll connect. You and me.
In our morbid mini episode number 9.
And we'll meet you
6 feet under.